This is your daily dose of all things royal. Today, from the New York Post, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry paying big bucks to Dem operatives via their charity, sparking calls for a congressional investigation. You don't say. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry have funneled hundreds of thousands of dollars to controversial political operatives through their Fugazi charity, according to documents reviewed by the Post. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex have been spending big on high-level Democrat Party-aligned sources, according to public records, including hiring a disinformation expert who worked at a company involved in every high-profile U.S. election since the 90s. The move could further widen the divide between Harry and his family after brother Prince William recently met with President Donald Trump. King Charles is also said by the British press to have maintained a good relationship with Trump since he was last in office in 2020, and the president has expressed his support for both. The Archewell Fugazi Public Charity, the California-based nonprofit started by Harry and Meghan in 2020, doled out $146,500 to Jory Craig in 2023, an independent media strategist who has been called the Democrats' go-to for countering disinformation, according to a report. Now I'm going to bring this visual back up, because I think it's always good to know where they fall within the censorship complex. So Jory Craig, as you can see here, falls at the bottom near the think tanks, and that's exactly the kind of work that she does. There she is for the Institute for Strategic Dialogue. The group also donated $25,000 to the Marcy Lab School in Brooklyn, where Craig joined the board in 2024. Public records show. And in 2022, Craig also took in $120,000 from Archewell Fugazi Public Charity per the federal filings. Craig, 33, previously worked at Washington, D.C. research firm Greenberg, Quinlan and Rosner. Regarded an expert on elections, Craig worked her way up to being senior director of digital strategy by 2016 and then became vice president of the company between 2018 and 2021. One of the company's digital strategies during the last election cycle was to counter narratives about Joe Biden's age and negative comments about his family, according to reports. Craig boasts about what she can bring to projects online, saying she designed and deployed smart social listening strategies for political candidates, public officials, community leaders, and corporate leaders to stay on offense, on her linked profile. Archewell Fugazi Public Charity also gave $90,000 to Markup News, Inc., a New York-based nonprofit also funded by Craigslist founder Craig Newmark and controversial billionaire and Democratic megadonor George Soros' Open Society Foundations. The charity's funding of progressive democratic causes have raised eyebrows. Niall Gardner, a fellow at conservative think tank, the Heritage Foundation, has called for Archewell's donations to be scrutinized by Congress. And so has the royal grift, by the way, and Niall Gardner seems to be ignoring all of that, but we're here now, better late than never. Harry and Meghan still retain royal titles and should not be engaging in any way in political activity, said Gardner. It's actually outrageous. Archewell's biggest donation, $250,000, was to the Women's Wellness Space, a Pennsylvania-based charity set up by Ashley Biden, daughter of former President Biden, in 2023. The charity's mission is to help women impacted by trauma, according to reports. It opened its doors in 2024. Archewell Fugazi Public Charity also doled out $155,000 to Hurley Lauren, a firm run by two former Buckingham Palace aides, Beth Hurley and Clara Lauren, also for programmatic strategic services. A spokesperson for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex told The Post, "It's important to note the Duke and Duchess did not endorse any candidate in the 2024 presidential election, and to suggest they're trying to curry favor with the Democratic Party simply because a donation went to Ashley Biden's nonpartisan nonprofit focused on women's mental health, or because they hired a consultant specializing in digital safety is misguided." Okay, Meghan and Harry. The Duke and Duchess are committed to investing in people and initiatives that truly make a difference. Meghan's political aspirations have long been rumored, with her and Harry flying to New York to meet prominent Democrats, including Governor Beaverface Hochul and then Mayor Bill de Blasio in 2021. She and Harry also had a secret summit video call with California Governor Gavin Newsom the same year, according to reports. I would like to add here the secret summit that was held with Senator Chris Coons pertaining to African parks and the amount of U.S. taxpayer dollars that have gone into funding and supporting this militia who have been raping and beating the Baka people. I think that is worthy of another article, don't you think, guys? Members of the monarchy in Britain have long practiced political neutrality and generally avoid showing favor to any politician or party publicly. Meanwhile, President Trump has been dismissive of both Harry and Meghan, recently saying he wouldn't look into claims Harry lied on his application to live in the U.S. "I'll leave him alone. He's got enough problems with his wife. She's terrible," he recently told The Post. And that's the end of the article. But I don't think that that's the end for the New York Post. I do believe, though, they're going to continue to stay on this. But what this article has done, it's blown the doors wide open for people now to go into these IRS 990s and scrutinize every detail of it and look at the activity that has been going on in what they really are doing here in the United States and their connections to these various organizations that are a part of the censorship industrial complex. Now, the good news is that this was the New York Post. The New York Post has an axe to grind with all those other media outlets that had lied about the Hunter Biden laptop. Remember, it was the New York Post that had their article suppressed, and I do believe that their Twitter account was also suspended for it. So they're going to blow this up, especially if Harry and Meghan are a part of this massive complex that has been censoring speech. New York Post is going to be the first one to blow this out of the water. Now, while this article is wonderful because it's now put a spotlight for people to start taking notice a little bit more and looking into their affairs, the ultimate goal, though, is really still getting Harry subpoenaed to Capitol Hill so he can sit in front of the congressmen so they can grill him on his involvement not only with the censorship industrial complex, but also about January 6th. I'm telling you, this is going to get a lot worse for these two for what they have been involved in and what they have been doing. As I've been telling you, this is going to get worse for Harry. And I do believe that this is going to start escalating to a point where it's going to get ugly. And I'm here for it. But hey, what do I know? I'm not a part of the aristocracy, nor did I go to fashion school. So, what does this university-educated person know? Anyway, thank you to all those today who have been tagging me to this and also speaking up and saying that, this is stuff that you already knew. And that makes my heart feel really good because that means you guys are listening. And for those that have been following with me from the very beginning and never doubting the content that I'm putting out and trusting the things that I'm telling you, makes me feel good. Validates why I do what I do, and my motivation is making sure that these two are held accountable for the damage that they have caused here in the United States these past 4 years. There is so much more left to come for this couple. Trust the kid when I say that. I haven't led you guys wrong yet. But then again, what do I know? I bet you Donald Trump knows, and so does J.D. Vance. And Europe, as well as the UK, doesn't like it one bit.
I look to Brussels, where EU commissars warn citizens that they intend to shut down social media during times of civil unrest the moment they spot what they've judged to be, quote, hateful content. Or to this very country, where police have carried out raids against citizens suspected of posting anti-feminist comments online as part of, quote, combating misogyny on the internet, a day of action. I look to Sweden, where 2 weeks ago the government convicted a Christian activist for participating in Koran burnings that resulted in his friend's murder. And as the judge in his case chillingly noted, Sweden's laws to supposedly protect free expression do not, in fact, grant, and I'm quoting, a free pass to do or say anything without risking offending the group that holds that belief. And perhaps most concerningly, I look to our very dear friends, the United Kingdom, where the backslide away from conscience rights has placed the basic liberties of religious Britons in particular in the crosshairs. A little over 2 years ago, the British government charged Adam Smith Connor, a 51-year-old physiotherapist and an Army veteran, with the heinous crime of standing 50 meters from an abortion clinic and silently praying for 3 minutes. Not obstructing anyone, not interacting with anyone, just silently praying on his own. And after British law enforcement spotted him and demanded to know what he was praying for, Adam replied simply, it was on behalf of the unborn son he and his former girlfriend had aborted years before. Now, the officers were not moved. Adam was found guilty of breaking the government's new buffer zones law, which criminalizes silent prayer and other actions that could influence a person's decision within 200 meters of an abortion facility. He was sentenced to pay thousands of pounds in legal costs to the prosecution. Now, I wish I could say that this was a fluke, a one-off crazy example of a badly written law being enacted against a single person. But no, this last October, just a few months ago, the Scottish government began distributing letters to citizens whose houses lay within so-called safe access zones, warning them that even private prayer within their own homes may amount to breaking the law. Naturally, the government urged readers to report any fellow citizens suspected guilty of thought crime. In Britain and across Europe, free speech, I fear, is in retreat.
It's quite telling that J.D. Vance specifically called out the United Kingdom for being the worst of them all. Yeah, I somehow think they have an idea as to what's going on. So if you're new here and want to be a part of us cool kids who are in the know, please go ahead and check out my Stand Up for Free Speech playlist. There's almost 100 videos on this topic going through in detail how these two have been connected to not only the Biden regime, but how Harry and Meghan have been undermining the Constitution and why they should be subpoenaed to Congress to answer for a lot of the things that they have been involved with that are anti-American and a threat to our constitutional republic. I'm telling you this now, those invisible children are the least of their worries. So please go ahead and check that out, share it with other people, make them aware that this is not conspiracy theory, this is real. They did this stuff and now they need to pay the price for it. And this is what I am going after. It's unfortunate that the United Kingdom doesn't really have free speech. And what happened to Yankee Wally was wrong. What happened to so many of us was wrong. It's really unfortunate that the UK, as well as other Western countries, do not have the privilege of having this First Amendment to protect speech. And now you understand why it matters. You now see why we fight for it and we defend it at all costs. America has to stand up and push back. And that's exactly what we're all doing here, because we don't want this socialism, Marxism, fascist, whatever it is that the EU is trying to force upon the world. We don't want a one-world government. We want our own sovereignty. We want to be the best that we can be and have the chance at life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, just like everybody else. They don't get the right to dictate what we can say, what we can think, how we should feel, and what we need to believe. And it's so unfortunate that so many people take these freedoms for granted. So, it is interesting to watch those that have lost that freedom or thought they had free speech, but realizing that no, you have to be careful with the things that you say. If you have wrongthink, you could possibly go to jail. That's some scary stuff. We really do have to be thankful that this mission that Harry and Meghan have been on didn't work out because ultimately the goal was to pass sweeping legislation across all these Western countries to implement these types of censorship laws. And I guarantee you, if Harry and Meghan had gotten their way, we would have all have been locked up just for saying that we didn't believe Meghan gave birth to those children and that she's committing fraud with this line of succession. I honestly don't think they thought that it was going to go so terribly wrong, and here we are. The show is just about to get started. Trust me when I say that. Anyhow, what do you guys think? Definitely leave your thoughts below. As always, I will be back with more content, but until then, please be safe, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Such a fraud.